Hi and welcome back to PMC Knives and Tools. Wanted to do a review today, a comparison side by side of two pull-through sharpeners. Now these are both budget, small, pocket-sized pull-through sharpeners, and one is from Worksharp. It's called the Pivot Pull-Through Pocket Sharpener, and the other is from Sharpal, and it's called the Sharpal Pocket Sharpener. So let's have a quick look first and foremost at the differences in both, the features on both, and then we'll talk about the performance. So Worksharp is a pretty well-known brand. They make a lot of sharpeners, very well respected. They make kitchen sharpeners, garden tool sharpeners, scissor sharpeners, pocket knife sharpeners. They do a bit of everything. They are higher end sharpeners, like their fixed angle sharpening systems and their automated machine sharpeners, like the Ken Onion, for example, are very, very well regarded, very highly respected in the sharpening industry, and they sponsor a lot of knife events and stuff like that. They do a lot of giveaways. Big company. This one here is a smaller, more compact version of a sharpener that they're doing, and it works with these carbide pull-through teeth here. So carbide is a much harder than the metal that's on your kitchen knives or your pocket knife, and it basically shaves some of the material off very quickly. So rather than doing it with a whetstone or a diamond or that sort of thing that shaves material off very slowly, the idea is that this is a fixed angle and you pull it through and it shaves the material off very quickly, so you get a very quick edge. And it's designed, these sort of sharpeners both are designed for people who maybe don't have the time or patience or ability to learn to sharpen knives and tools in the traditional sort of slow whetstone manner. And you know, that's perfectly fine. In the YouTube knife video community, carbide sharpeners are a bit of a dirty word. Nobody likes to admit they use them. I don't care about looking cool, so I'm going to tell the truth and say that I absolutely do use these. I'm a knife user, knife collector, I'm a builder, and I also have arthritis in my hands. Look, there's a cut in that one. From years of heavy work. So I will absolutely use whetstones and fixed angle sharpening systems and all these kind of stuff in my electric sharpeners. You've seen videos on my channel of me using these things. I also use carbide pull-through sharpeners because sometimes I just want a quick edge without any messing about. And sometimes I have a cheap knife that I don't want to waste time on a fixed angle sharpening system because I know that the metal in it is crap. So there is absolutely a valid place in the world for these type of sharpeners, and I don't want to hear any, oh, but if you're not using Japanese waterstones, you're not doing it right, dude. I don't want to hear any of it because I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I don't care about looking cool for the YouTube knife niche community, so you can all take those comments and shove them up your arses. So, with that said, controversy out of the way, let's look at these particular ones. So, this one here is just a plain V. This one here is slightly different. This is what's called a convex. And the idea is that it puts a convex shape on your knife edge, which will retain, or the theory behind it is it will retain its edge a bit longer. In scientific terms, it will maintain its angled edge for a bit longer, but it won't maintain its absolute apex razor sharp cutting edge. So, you know, these are things you need to consider when you're looking at buying a pull-through sharpener. But if you're looking at one of these, you're probably looking at using it either as your only sharpening tool that you're going to throw in a kitchen drawer, it's going to do all your sharpening, or if you're maybe a bit more of a knife collector like me, you're looking at using it like something you can throw in your backpack for a day out in the woods or that type of thing. So let's not assume that everyone is competent and enthusiastic about doing traditional whetstone knife sharpening, because some people just can't be bothered, and that's okay. You know, we don't need to be snobs all the time. We can say that convenience is a worthwhile thing, and convenience absolutely is a worthwhile thing. The controversy about this type of sharpener stems from the idea that they tear off material from the blade aggressively because the carbide is a lot harder than the steel on the knife edge, and that's true. And once you've changed your angle one of these to the fixed sort of 20 degree or what have you, then that is what it is. That's the angle that you're going to have, unless you sit and methodically using whetstones and Tormex and sharpening systems sit and realign that edge, then that's the angle that you're going to get. But most people, that's okay. Most people are happy with a 20-degree sharp fixed edge. They don't really care about things like micro serrations. They just want a knife that will cut through chicken breasts or open packages or, you know, whittle wood in the woods, and all these things will do that. They are sharp. It's not like, I'm sick of people saying that carbide pull-through sharpeners ruin knives and it's not properly sharp. They are sharp. Sharp is sharp, but it either cuts or it doesn't, and these absolutely make knives sharp. So let's stop all the pearl clutching, you know, responses to using carbide pull-through sharpeners, because they absolutely sharpen things. So it's not a myth. So this one has a little function called the pivot. So the way Worksharp advertise it is, you use it in this direction here, and with this red tab pushed out to the left, this will move. See that flexing? And that will take slightly more material off. So let's say your knife is duller, and then once you've done 5 passes on that, click that lock into place, and then do 5 passes with it slightly more fixed in place. That does make a tiny difference, but honestly it's quite hard for me to even catch what difference it makes. Then you would flip it and do 5 pulls on these cut ceramic rods to hone your edge. You also have this little ceramic pad here if you wanted to bring a knife or tool to it, or a fishing hook in the centre line there. Very light, absolutely pocket sized. Here it is in the palm of my hand. The Sharpal is much the same. This was £7.99 by the way, £7.99. The Sharpal is much the same. Also has a little grippy area. Also has carbide pull through and ceramic pull through, and also has a diamond with a fishing hook. Now this diamond is rod rather than pad, and the idea is that you can use it to sharpen the serrations in a knife or as a honing rod and that sort of thing. And again, it has a hook sharpening portion there. This one also has a couple of additional tools. It's got a little ferrocerium rod, a little fire starter rod. They reckon that you can catch fires by pulling it through the carbide. It doesn't work that well in that way, in my opinion, but it does absolutely throw sparks from the back spine of a multi-tool saw type thing, and it has a whistle built in, which is crap, and this is supposed to be a reflective surface. So the idea is that you have this in your pocket and then you use it when you're out in the woods. If you fall down and hurt yourself, you use the whistle or the reflector, or you start a fire. So yeah, I guess those are additional little things that you might at some point use, but realistically you probably won't. But these are both absolutely very light. This is slightly heavier than the Worksharp, but they're both very light and they both fit comfortably in the hand and comfortably in the pocket. You don't notice them there. The carbide on this is just a straight V, no convex like the Worksharp has, and it is 20 degrees. The ceramic is the same. Now, the ceramic on this is a plate, where these are ceramic rods on the Worksharp. Now, to the nitty gritty. Oh, this was £9.99. Right, to the nitty gritty. So they're both similar size, similar weight, similar functionality, similar type, and similar price. On to performance. Now this is where it gets a little bit of a split decision. So in pure performance terms, the carbide sharpener on the Sharpal I have had much more success with in getting a nice sharp edge. The Worksharp I find strips less material, and therefore on a dull knife or a softer knife or a cheaper blade or whatever it is you're trying to sharpen, you have to work harder with the Worksharp to get it to the level of sharpness that you wish than you do with Sharpal. The Sharpal is much more aggressive, and some people will like that puts a fast edge on. Some people will clutch their pearls that it strips off too much material. I'm not suggesting that you take a really expensive chef knife or a Sebenza pocket knife and run it through these. Do that if you want to, because I firmly believe if you've bought something, then the value of that thing needs to be earned in its use rather than sitting being looked at as a nice item to stare at, like a piece of object art. We don't buy tools for them to sit in the drawer. So if you're going to buy something, then feel free to use it. So if you want to use it to sharpen higher end stuff, then use it to sharpen higher end stuff. It's your stuff. Don't let anybody tell you different. So that aside, what I am suggesting is if you're using it on softer steels like kitchen knives, and pocket knives and stuff like that, it's going to be fine. It is going to strip material off quicker and to a sharper edge on the Sharpal than the work sharp does, but the work sharp isn't going to be so aggressive in leaving micro serrations, but it does not strip as much material off and therefore doesn't get it as sharp, in my experience. And I'll show several knives in a minute to demonstrate that. Now, flipping to the ceramic side, it's the opposite. The ceramic rods on the work sharp are very, very good at getting a honed, sharp edge, or even just bringing an edge back to life, equivalent to stropping on a knife that you've been using. The other day I was using my Victorinox Swiss Champ to cut a load of cardboard boxes, and Victorinox knives are, the blade edge is soft steel, and after cutting a load of cardboard it needs stropped. So I put it through the work sharp ceramic rods here, and it was perfect. The Sharpal, on the other hand, the more aggressive looking ceramic plates, I find actually dull an edge, believe it or not. I don't like them, so I will use the carbide pull through on the Sharpal and the ceramic pull through on the work sharp. If I could somehow combine the two and have these rods on this tool, I would be happier. There we go. So it's a score draw in terms of that performance. In terms of the diamond performance, the Sharpal probably wins because you can use the rod for serrations where you can't use the diamond on serrations here. There's no part of this tool that will sharpen serrations. So, sharpening serrations, the process is very simple. You would open your serrated blade like so and drag the diamond file down the serrations until you're satisfied that they're sharp. Very, very simple. Right, let's talk about plain edges then, because this is what we all care about. This is what everyone's here to see. Sharpened plain edge blades. So, Victorinox Swiss Champ. Just oiled it so it's a bit shiny. Don't like doing it in here because it comes with it doesn't have a convex edge in the first place, so that would be in here. But there's no convex on the ceramic rods, and ceramic rods hone this beautifully. So it's a win for the work sharp on the Swiss Champ, or on any Victorinox knife for that matter, because they all use the same steel. On the Swiss Plus Tech 13-in-1 multi-tool, again, it's the Sharpal on the carbides that wins this one. Sorry, not again, so that's one each, because the carbide sharpener on the Sharpal goes wonderfully with this particular steel, which I think is 3CR13 MOV. So that's one each, one for the ceramic on the workshop, one for the carbide on the Sharpal. These, what is this again? Is it the Husk or something like that? I can't remember. It's one of these vaguely rustic looking kitchen knives that were big online a few years ago. I've done all sorts of crazy edges on this with all sorts of different systems, and the one that I found worked consistently best was either my electric mini belt sharpener that I got recently, or the carbide on the Sharpal. So that's a win for the Sharpal carbide, but it's also a win for the ceramic on the workshop, because the ceramic on the Sharpal, filled it again after I had used the carbide on the Sharpal. I tried to hone it on that, it took the edge back down again. So this ceramic might be too hard, or the angle might be too severe possibly on the edges, and it's taking the material blunt again. So I then had to hone it on the workshop, which did wonderfully. So that's 1 and 1, and then 1 on each, a draw. So they're both at 2 a piece. This little cheap knife here, this was getting dull. We use it around the kitchen, so it's a very, very cheap steel. I tried using it on the work sharp carbide. It just didn't. It wasn't aggressive enough. It didn't bite enough to the edge of this particular knife, and it didn't take any material off and didn't make any damn difference whatsoever. So I sharpened it on the carbide pull through on the Sharpal, and then I honed it on the work sharp ceramic rods, and you have a nice sharp cutting edge. Now you will see micro serrations. That is what a carbide pull through does. So when you're sharpening on a sharpening stone, let's use this as an example. This has got angle guide. You're driving the edge away and making an up and down one directional cut into the steel grain. When you're using a carbide pull through, you're making a horizontal cut in the grain, so you're shaving material off in that direction rather than that direction like a stone would. So you're going to get a sharp edge, but it's going to have little bumps along the edge because of the nature of pulling it through. It's not going to pull through evenly at every go. You can see that there, it's not even contacting the work sharp. Just if your blade isn't that exact thickness and angle, it's just not going to, the work sharp's not going to do anything. The carbide on it just isn't going to cut, whereas this is going to force a V angle onto any knife that you get put through it like that. So that horrible grinding noise is it cutting. So you're not going to get a perfectly even edge, but you are going to get a sharp edge. It tends to miss the tips when you're using pull-through sharpeners. That's just how they work. They don't really have a facility for sharpening the tip. But anyone who's sharpening on whetstones will tell you that the tip is the hardest bit to get anyway. So, are they good value? Absolutely. Are they going to get your kitchen knives and pocket knives sharp? Mostly is the answer there. I would not probably recommend the work sharp. I don't think the convex with the very, very, very almost hard to see carbide teeth is good enough. I don't think it effectively sharpens blades well enough. But I do think the ceramic honing rods are perfectly good. I probably wouldn't use this diamond pad. I think it's too small to be practical. But the ceramic rods on this work sharp are among the best ceramic rods of a pull-through cheap nature that I've ever used. So I would recommend them, but not the main part. And this is the thing. So this gets your edge back to sharp from blunt, and this hones it to shaving. So this part works well, this part doesn't. On the Sharpal, I have the exact opposite problem. This works well and really pulls a lot of material off the blade edge fast to get your sharp edge. Then you can't hone it because the ceramic just dulls it again. So the ceramic sucks and the carbide works well. On the work sharp, the ceramic sucks. The carbide sucks and the ceramic works well. So both of them are budget, both of them are effective in different ways, and both of them have pluses and minuses. $7.99, $9.99. It comes down to it. It's more important to me that the carbide work than the ceramic, because if a blade gets damaged or dulled, I want to get an edge back on it rather than hone it. Honing is not something that is difficult to do in another method. I can hone it on my belt or my jeans or a kitchen butcher steel or whatever. It's more important to me to have a sharpening tool than a honing tool, and therefore the Sharpal would get my $9.99 as opposed to my $7.99. Both are available on Amazon. Both of them I have used extensively. I've had this one for 18 months or so, and I've had this one for a month or so. I have been using them in direct comparison for the same sort of stuff, you know, like multi-tool blades, Swiss Army knives, and kitchen knives. And these are my findings. So the Sharpal ceramic is rubbish, but the carbide is good, and the work sharp carbide isn't very good, but the ceramic is very good. So I have to give it to the Sharpal on this occasion, but you know, the work sharp is still a useful tool at honing your knife edges. And now that I own them both, you know, I will probably put one in a bag and one in a drawer or what have you. Again, if you want to get your knives factory sharp, you know, razor sharp, then absolutely spend the time to learn how to use ceramic rods and whetstones and Japanese waterstones or a fixed angled sharpening system. But remember that all of these things cost money, and they cost time and effort, and your time and your effort are valuable things. And you may find, like me, you get very painful hands after a lot of constant sharpening work. So if you're looking to get your knife sharp quickly, and you're not a knife snob and you're not a professional YouTuber, you might find that a cheap pull-through is perfectly serviceable for all your cheap pocket knives that you keep, and you know, your kitchen knives that you bought from the supermarket. And there's no shame in that. So don't let YouTube knife snobs tell you that you're wrong for wanting budget, friendliness, and time convenience, because those things are okay. And if you're worried about higher end knives, and you don't want to spend a lot of money on sharpening systems and all that kind of shit, because you're worried that, but when you're on these waterstones and whetstones, you will damage more edges than you sharpen in the outset, so bear that in mind if you think about learning to sharpen by hand. It takes a lot of time and practice. If you're not willing to do that with your really expensive kitchen chef knives and your custom pocket knives and all this kind of stuff, then just send them to a sharpening service. You'll find them online. They work by post and they're fairly reasonably priced as well. So feel free to use a pull-through sharpener. Feel free to use a fucking stone that you find in the garden. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just a guy ranting into his phone. But the Sharpal of these two is my preferred pull-through sharpener. So there you go. That's my findings, anecdotally, based on the knives that I've been testing these two with. Take care. Stay safe. Stay sharp. Have a great day.